Croeso. Welcome to our inaugural Cynhadledd ceremony Gwobr Gofal Plant Allysgol 2022 to the Out of School Childcare Conference and Awards Ceremony 2022. Although we're hoping for this to be an in-person or face-to-face event, in the early stages of planning, rates spiked and we erred on the side of caution. So here we find ourselves on this StreamYard platform with all our participants joining on YouTube. Presenters are here backstage with me on this new platform with our marketing and comms officer, Sophie, clicking the buttons. I hope you enjoy this experience. There are not many housekeeping rules, as you will not need to be muted and the other participants won't be able to see you. So cameras on or off is optional. You will, however, still be able to message us through YouTube, and all working well, we'll see your comments. I've already seen a lot of them. I'm sorry for the delay in starting, and the questions in the chat function in StreamYard. There will be, of course, every opportunity to ask questions to each presenter after they've spoken. So if you're sitting comfortably, we shall begin with a quick look at the agenda. I'm going to start with a couple of thank yous. Then Nicola Edwards, Deputy Director, Childcare, Play and Early Years Welsh Government, will give us some updates, followed by Kevin Barker, Head of Childcare, Play Inspection and Care Inspectorate Wales. We'll then celebrate our Playwork graduates from 2021 with Dawn Bunn, our National Training Manager. Andrew Bell, Programme Manager for We Care Wales, will follow Dawn. And then our regional managers will give a couple of extra awards out at the end. Then we'll look at a thank you, evaluation and close. Before I ask Nick to speak, I'd just like to start with a thank you to the out of school childcare sector, its playworkers, managers and volunteers. We are aware of just how difficult the past 2 years have been for you and continues to be. We would like tonight to celebrate you, the sector, your resilience and your tenacious ability to keep going to support Welsh children, to keep them playing and supporting their families to work, helping their communities to prosper. We know that the families and children who utilise the expertise of the out-of-school childcare sector appreciate you. You can see that from the comments on the slide, taken from our Parents and Carers survey, undertaken last June, just the depth of feeling and what it means to be able to access childcare in your settings. The next few years are going to be full of operational challenges, which, with you, we will make into opportunities for you to continue to your post-pandemic survival, and go on to see the sector thrive. We'll support you to see the reform of the school day work to your advantage, as well as the introduction of ECEC, Early Childhood Education and Care. And we'll continue to support you to be able to access excellent playwork training through apprenticeships and Progress for Success. We'll continue to be your voice. We will support your needs and requirements, and from our support for you, be able to communicate them to Welsh Government through our strategic representation. But tonight, as I said, it's about celebrations. We have 9 awards for which we've received 220 nominations. This demonstrates how much good work is going on in the out-of-school childcare sector. It's been a tough choice choosing the winners, but very inspiring reading the individual nominations and understanding the breadth of feeling and admiration for the work of out-of-school childcare clubs, playworkers and volunteers. So here you'll see the list of shortlisted clubs, and the awards that they've been nominated for are the Out-of-School Childcare Club, Champions of Inclusion, Play Champion, Commitment to Continued Professional Development, Welsh Language Champions, Supporting Staff Wellbeing. On this slide, do another click. On this slide, we see the play workers and volunteers, and the categories that they are up for are Play Worker of the Year, Learner of the Year, and Volunteer of the Year. Play workers are at the heart of our work. Where would we be without them? You'll have seen from the poem written by one of our learners as you joined this evening. This demonstrates what a play worker does for a child in their care and what the career means to them. The only drawback to this streaming service is that we'll not be able to do a big reveal and show the recipients of getting the awards. Perhaps those who receive an award can put a comment in the chat for us. I can assure you that this is how we did plan it, and it's not intentional, brought on by any events at the Oscars on Sunday. Okay, so now over to the main event, and enough from me. I'm pleased to introduce Nicola Edwards, Deputy Director, Childcare and Play, Early Years, Welsh Government.
Thanks, Jane. I'm very grateful for the introduction there.
Sorry.
As you can see, we're having a few slight technical issues this evening, so I'm also joining in a slightly different way than originally planned, so I'm hoping everybody can hear me okay. As Jane said, my name is Nicola Edwards and I'm Deputy Director for Childcare, Play and Early Years at the Welsh Government, where I have the privilege of leading a team of people who are responsible for a whole host of policy issues affecting childcare and play provision across Wales. If we could click on to the next slide, please. I wanted to kick off this evening by saying a massive thank you and diolch to everybody on this call, to Jane and her team for the tireless support that they've actually given us over the last few years as we've navigated our way through the pandemic. But before that, in terms of all of the work we've been doing around developing policy proposals for childcare, play and early years provision across Wales. But more particularly, I want to pass on the thanks of the Deputy Minister for Social Services and the wider Welsh Government for all of the work that you and your clubs and settings do to support children and their families across Wales. We know how important attending high quality childcare provision can be for the development of our children, and how critical access to quality play opportunities is as well, in terms of their physical and mental well-being, but also just so that children can have the opportunity to be children. Prior to the pandemic, I was lucky enough to visit one of the Clybiau settings in Bridgend and to hear about the work they were doing to support children in the families in their community. And it's really the kind of activities that you take forward across Wales and the important work you do with those children and their families that makes such a significant difference to them and ensures that they can go on and live long and rewarding lives with happy childcare opportunities. We also know how hard it's been for all of you over the past few years responding to the pandemic. Some cases closing your settings, in others keeping them open in the face of increasing challenges around different restrictions and not being sure day to day or week to week quite what the next round of reviews are going to bring. But you've all responded brilliantly, and I can't really express enough how grateful we are for the work that you've put in and for the enthusiasm that you have shown for those children and their families across Wales. If we could just move on to the next slide, please. We very recently published our Children and Young People Plan, which you may or may not have seen. But the Children and Young People Plan is intended to set out our ambitions for children in Wales and how we want to support them going forwards. So we make it very clear in that plan that our ambition is to see the best for our children and all of our children, no matter what their backgrounds, where they come from or where they live. We want them to have the best start in life and to go on to lead the kinds of lives they want to live. As part of that, the ethos that we have that underpins that and what we believe, which is up on the screen at the moment, is that every child should have the best start in life and the opportunity to take part in and enjoy learning and education, enjoy healthy lifestyles, be listened to, be treated with respect, have a home and community that's safe and nice to grow up in, financial and material support, but importantly and critically there in the middle of that slide, be able to play and have fun. And that's something that your clubs and your settings and your play workers really ensure those children have on a day-to-day and weekly basis throughout the year. Next slide, please. That the plan sets out an overarching set of priorities and actions that we want to deliver for the Welsh Government and for the children and young people in Wales. And the first priority within that is to ensure that all children have access to good early years services and support for parents or carers, supported at home, in childcare, in schools, and when they move between these places. This is really important if we're going to ensure that they have the opportunities to develop. To do that, we will continue to improve our early years services. We will continue to offer early years services to more children and families, and offer more Welsh medium early years services. We also want to support children at home, in childcare and in school, and offer help and support to parents and carers. And critically, we want to continue play-based learning in childcare and schools. I can't stress again how important that access to play really is. It's something that I think we've been increasingly aware of as time has gone by. The pandemic has thrown into sharp relief, and I think the poem at the start of this event today really underlined and underscored how important it is for children and young people. So what are we going to do to deliver on that? It's all well and fine saying we're going to do it, but over this government term, our key priorities are to support the sector to recover. We know that that means different things for different settings across the sector, and that some of you are already well on the path to getting back to where you were. Others have recently opened and started providing new services to families across Wales, but others are still struggling a bit with restrictions, with the ability to run and operate in the way that you want to, or to offer the services that you feel are really important to those children. We want to improve sustainability. We know and have known for some time that quite a lot of the sector doesn't always break even, or when it does break even, really struggles to turn a profit and to be able to be a sustainable setting that can employ the staff they want at the rates they want to pay them and to offer the services that the children need. We want to increase provision, so go beyond just ensuring that we have sustainable settings now. We want more settings, and critically as part of that, we want more registered settings, because registered childcare provision opens up more doors in terms of funding opportunities for yourselves and more opportunities for children. And we want to invest in the workforce and training for the workforce to ensure that you have the skills you need to go forward, but also that you understand how valued you are and that we're taking the time to provide you with the skills you need. What do we need to help us do that? Well, obviously funding, and that's a critical issue for all of you. So you'll be interested in things like how much we're paying for the childcare offer, the changes in the hourly rate for that from April, the changes to Flying Start that are coming in, the investment that we're going to make in these services. But we also need your input. We won't be able to do any of this without the information and support that your settings and that Jane and her team can provide us. So we need the data, through exercises like CIW's self-assessments exercise, through the childcare sufficiency assessments and the play sufficiency assessments that local authorities do, workforce data so that we can get a better map of what training needs and requirements are out there, and feedback to our consultations and proposals so that we can make sure that what we're doing makes a difference on the ground. It's often all too easy to sit in an office somewhere in a building quite far removed from the individual settings and the activities that you're taking forward, and look through ideas and proposals and come up with things that we think will work. But the reality is you're the ones who know what will work and what won't work, and your input is vital. We've made a number of very specific commitments in our programme for government to support this. So critically, we want to maintain our existing Flying Start provision. We want to ensure that we provide more childcare for parents in education and training or on the cusp of employment. And we're making an initial start on that by expanding the childcare offer to parents in education and training from September of this year. We want to expand early years provision for 2-year-olds more generally, and we'll be making a start on that from September by looking to expand our Flying Start services and critically the childcare delivered through Flying Start across Wales. There are also commitments being made by our education department, so for more community-focused schools. And for those of you based on school sites or working in partnership with schools, this will be quite critical. We want to use our schools more as community hubs, focusing services for children and families in one place. And I know that many of you faced struggles over the last 2 years in terms of accessing your settings where you were based on school sites. So I'm going to be pushing really hard to make sure that those sites are available, not just during term time, but also during the holidays and weekends, to ensure that your settings can run and that children and families can get the best out of those facilities. But anything that you can give us or information you can provide us to help us make that case will be very gratefully received. Jane has already touched on reform of the school day and the school year. Again, those are critical policy areas that impact on the childcare and play sector, and areas where we'll be pushing forward arguments to make sure that children have the time and space they need to play in and around the school day. And then taking forward more specific activities such as our Summer of Fun, our Winter of Wellbeing, the Playworkers programme, and a whole host of different schemes and opportunities to provide services for children and young people. Some of you will be excited by these opportunities and thinking about what they might mean for your settings and the things that they could let open up opportunities to deliver. Others will be concerned. The focus on early years might not mean much in terms of an out-of-school childcare setting that focuses more on school-aged children. And we talk quite a lot about ECEC, early childhood education and care, which means you might be wondering where you fit in. But this is about supporting all children, and we want to ensure that we have a thriving childcare sector that operates for all children, no matter how old they are. Children still need childcare, often into their teens, and it's really important that they have those opportunities. So we really want to hear from you to make sure that what we're doing and how we're taking it forward is working for you, as well as for the children and families that you serve. So if you could please take your time to think about how you can engage with us and get in touch with us via Jane or directly, then please do, and we'd be very interested in hearing from you. I'm going to pause there because I'm conscious that one of the things that Jane was really keen we had time here for today was to answer any questions from yourselves. And so I'm just going to close by saying thank you so very much once again for everything that you do and everything that you will continue to do, not just in terms of supporting us to support the sector, but critically to support children and their families.
Thanks, Nick. And sorry, I've had a little nightmare with your presentation. It's decided to fly everywhere. So lots of it was missed, but really, thank you. Thanks ever so much. Now, I do believe that we have a question from from somebody who's attending, but it came in advance. When will we see the foundation rate increase? Foundation phase rate increase? There's a lot more admin, paperwork and education that goes into this funding, and yet it remains at the same as childcare offer, which has risen to £5 for childcare alone.
I understand that question entirely, and I can see where people are coming from. The childcare offer rate for both the education and childcare elements will be increasing, as you've just said, to £5 an hour from next week, which I think is a really important step that we've done that. And we've also committed as part of that increase to review that rate at least every 3 years so that we will stay on top of hopefully what's going on. The decision to match the rate across education and childcare has not been a painless one. I think it's fair to say, and that many settings will recognise, that there hadn't been an uplift in terms of the foundation phase rate for many, many years. And until sort of the tail end of last year, when we were able to increase it across the board to at least match the £4.50 an hour then for the childcare offer, it was being paid in some cases as low at sort of £2, £2.80 an hour. There are currently, unfortunately, no plans to raise it above £5 an hour. It would stay at the same rate as it is for the childcare. But that's something that we can keep under review, and I'll keep discussing with our education colleagues as we go forward, because I am conscious that it is a very different type of service and it does require a different level of work.
Thanks, Nicola. And then one that's come in this evening, question would be around funding. Is there any update on more funding for early entitlement / 3-year funding towards childcare and additional supports?
So as we were just saying, we'll be increasing the hourly rate for the childcare offer, which is both the early education and the childcare element of the childcare offer. And just to be clear, that's the 30 hours a week of education and childcare for 3 to 4 year olds. That will be increasing from £4.50 to £5 an hour from next week. Alongside that, we've also made some changes to the additional charges that settings can levy in terms of food and transport, where those are charged, so as to make that a bit more sustainable. And there is some information about that on our website, which I'm hoping answers at least part of the question there for the person looking at it. So that will all come through next week. In terms of additional support, we do provide additional support for children accessing the childcare offer through our additional support grant. That actually isn't limited. So where a child requires additional support and the case has been made and agreed and funded, there isn't a limit on the level of funding provided per child. And if the child needs one-to-one support, that's available. If they need equipment purchasing or training provided, that's available as well. That can all be discussed with the local authority and they can put the case through to us, but we don't limit it in any way, shape or form, either by hour or by child.
That's lovely. Thanks, Nicola. I hope that answers your question, Olivia. Right. I don't think we've got any other questions in the chat at the moment. So we're going to move on to the awards, if that's okay. Oh, sorry.
I can just see Olivia's just popped up with another question then about training for the curriculum for Wales. So my understanding is that training for the new curriculum is going to be rolled out. I'm sorry to say, Olivia, I don't have much in the way of details on the training programme for that. I know it's been being developed and that there is training planned for practitioners working in childcare and play settings, as well as those working in early education settings. What I will do is I will take that question away and I will come back to Jane, and I'm sure that Jane and the team will get an update out to you as soon as possible.
That's lovely, thank you. And a couple more have just flown in as well. Plantos Nursery, will there be an opportunity for more settings to become Flying Start?
Over time, yes, that is certainly our intention. So we announced the other week that we'd be expanding our early years provision for 2 to 3 year olds by expanding our Flying Start offer. We'll be starting that in September with a small level of expansion in each local authority and then looking to expand further from the following September 2023. We're working through the criteria for how that will work. Those of you who are familiar with Flying Start will know that it's currently only available in our more deprived communities, but the intention is to gradually over the next few years move towards that being a universal offer. And so over time, more settings will be coming on board to deliver that, yes.
Thank you. Then a comment, decision for Welsh Government additional support is lengthy. There's a big gap between application and decision from Welsh Government to local authority. Is there anything that we can do to speed that up, Nick?
We can have a look at it. I mean, I can tell you that it doesn't, depending on the case that's provided to us, we can turn them around fairly quickly within my team, but it does depend on having had all the information in the first place to make the case. So sometimes it can take a little bit of time to make sure that all the information is gathered. But I'll take that one back to the team. And if you've got any examples for how long it's taken or challenges that you've had, if you pass them on through Jane and her team, then we can follow that up.
Thank you. And then one final one, I think it's Sam actually from Little Lambs, not Olivia Hope. So she's in disguise this evening. Will Flying Start postcodes be extended to add postcodes, or will it be used to, to adding outreach settings for current postcodes?
Both over time. So initially, starting in September 2022, it's probably going to be more focused around outreach because we're trying to get this done fairly quickly and local authorities are up against it a little bit in terms of time. But over time, Olivia / Sam in disguise, it will eventually become universal. So it'll be available across the whole of Wales in every part of Wales. So we will be adding more postcodes over time.
Okay, and I think we've got Sam on a flow now. Will Welsh Government be supporting out-of-school settings to access grants for sustainability?
I think they're already open to out-of-school settings, but I do know that each local authority operates their sustainability grants slightly differently, which may mean that you're experiencing some issues in some local authority areas that colleagues in other local authority areas are not experiencing, and vice versa. What we will be looking to do is refresh some of our capital funding schemes and thinking about the criteria for that.
Okay, that's great. And I know that, we give out as much information about the different local authority grants, and we have done over the pandemic. So always keep an eye on our weekly bulletin for the latest updates on any local authority or any other funding that's available. And so then there's another comment about the delay of 3 months, but we can pick that up outside of here. And if you'd like to get in touch with the details, then we can pass them on to Nick for you. Okay, so now it comes time to award our first award of the evening. And over to you, Nick, to award the Playworker of the Year.
Okay, so the first award of this evening is the Playworker of the Year award to recognise a playworker who embodies the playwork principles and has gone above and beyond to provide an excellent service for children, parents and carers and the local community. And I couldn't be happier to present this award, actually, because I think this is a really vital role that playworkers have in terms of supporting children across Wales. There were some really great examples of the passion and commitment of playworkers across Wales within the nominations. And while it was a tough decision, the award is being given to the person about whom this quote on the screen has been made, a highly motivated individual who has worked incredibly hard over the last 2 years to promote and support children's right to play, showing empathy and passion. They specialise in supporting children and young people who have additional learning needs and disabilities. They have developed a strong, effective team and undertaken a lot of extra training to ensure the safety of staff and children throughout the pandemic. And the winner is Jane Anderton of Tots to Teens in Pembrokeshire. Llongyfarchiadau, Jane. Congratulations, and a massive achievement. And I hope that you are rightfully proud of having won this award.
Thanks, Nick. That's great. And we move swiftly on to the second award of the evening.
And this is the Out of School Childcare Club of the Year award, to celebrate a setting that embodies the playwork principles and that is an excellent example of the benefit of quality play and childcare for children, families and communities. So another amazing award. A huge congratulations to all of the clubs nominated within this category. We have a quote from a parent about the winning club, which I will attempt to read out to you now. This club is 1 in a million. My kids have absolutely thrived there, and it is a setting where kids can take risks, get muddy, explore and make memories that will last well into adulthood. Through COVID, it was our lifeline. It helped my children feel like kids again and helped them connect with others their own age. They get plenty of fresh air and the staff are incredible. They all work hard to make every child feel special. And that, I think, is an absolutely wonderful testimony to the work of our playworkers and our clubs. And the winner is Dexter's Holiday Club in Bridgend. So llongyfarchiadau to you, and I hope that you are rightfully proud of winning this award as well. And I think that quote from that parent really is a testimony to all of the work that you do and all of the work that all of the clubs involved take forward every day.
Thank you ever so much, Nicola, and thank you for presenting those first 2 awards. We'll hopefully try and get some comms around the comments that have come in, because they've been excellent comments all around. So thank you ever so much for your time tonight. We really do appreciate it.
Thanks, Jane.
Okay, so swiftly on now. Sorry, I'm presenting, I'm not very good at multitasking, I'm afraid. So I'd like to introduce you now to Kevin Barker, Head of Childcare and Play Inspection for Care Inspectorate Wales.
Diolch, Jane. Noswaith. Good evening, everybody. Yeah, Kevin Barker, Dewey, Head of Childcare and Play Inspection for CIW, and it's great to be here. Now, I'm just going to attempt to share my presentation, so bear with me. So, Jane, can you just let me know if that can now be seen, please?
Yeah, that's fine.
I now can't see any of you folks, so there we are. So I'm going to spend 10 minutes or so just running through some of the significant findings from the last self-assessment of service statement, the SAS, submitted by Childcare and Play Services who are registered with CIW. I'm just going to say something about trends in the last few years and offer a few reflections on the impact of the pandemic based on our engagement with providers like yourselves. 90% of providers registered with CIW submitted a SAS this time. That's a brilliant response rate, helped by the fact that the whole process is now done online. So I'm sure all of you tonight would have done so, and I thank you very much for submitting the SAS. Before I do that though, just a few reflections on some of the words used to describe the journey out of the pandemic. Words like well-being and resilience, recovery and renewal. They are good words representing laudable aspiration, and I use them as much as the next person. My personal view is that we need to think carefully about what we mean when we use those words. What sort of recovery and renewal do we want? A return to where we were before? Somewhere different? Somewhere better? And most importantly, what sort of recovery and renewal will do the best for the children and families who use your services? This presentation will do not a lot more than just describe the way the sector looked when we completed the last SAS. But I can assure you that the primary interest of CIW will always be what is achieved for children and what you are achieving so well for children. I'm a parent myself and recently became a grandparent for the first time. So my interest in childcare, like for many people, is personal and extends well beyond my job title. My daughter is weighing up the options for childcare for when she returns to work. And choice is so important, isn't it? For this and many other reasons, having a strong out-of-school sector in Wales is crucial for children and families. So this first slide is the way the sector looked at the end of March last year. So that, that's a full 12 months ago now, and a lot has happened in between. So it comes with a very strong health warning in that respect. So at that point, there were just under 4,000 services registered with CIW, providing about 84,500 places in Wales. As you can see, childminders continue to make up the largest single category of service, while daycare, as you might expect, provides by far the largest number of places. It's important to note that this represents those services registered with CIW. It doesn't take account of other forms of childcare, for example, that which takes place for less than 2 hours, or informal childcare provided by relatives and so on. So as you can see, at the end of March last year, and it's worth stressing, this is how things looked 1 year ago, there were 385 out-of-school care services registered with us, providing 15,500 places. That's not an insignificant number, and taken in the totality, you can see that quite apart from what childcare and play services are delivering for children and families, it's a significant part of the Welsh economy and has an important part to play in the Welsh economy as well. So just a few points about what seems to have been happening in the last, 3 years from 2018 to 2021. So there's been a decline in the number of services and an increase in the number of places. The decline in the number of services is largely fueled by the well-publicised decline in the number of childminders, and the increase in the number of places by the growth in the number of full daycare services and the expansion of existing services to offer more. There's also been a decline in the amount of creche and open access play provision. So there's a suggestion, and I stress there's a suggestion, isn't there, that the more resilient services are those that have some economies of scale, some size. Those figures obviously raise some questions about choices open to parents as they look for childcare. And as you can see, over that same period, there was a really negligible decline in the number of out-of-school settings by 1%, but conversely, an increase in the number of out-of-school places by 1%. So a kind of small scale example of that phenomenon of a decline in the number of services and an increase in the number of places. So yeah, as I was saying, of particular note is the decline in the number of childminders. Now, there's going to be a Welsh Government-sponsored independent research of childminding that will consider the reasons for that decline. For our part in CIW, we're aware that childminding has always had a significant turnover as people's circumstances change. Perhaps of late, and exacerbated by the pandemic, concerns about financial viability have heightened. And of course, the employment market at times has been relatively buoyant. So that may be part of the reason for the decline, but that really is just speculation at the moment. What is less clear is whether the decline might also be a consequence of parental choice, a preference for full or sessional daycare. I think the big unknown is about the medium and long-term impact of the pandemic. Anecdotal evidence suggests that the rise of home working or blended working with less people tied to offices and office hours may mean that more families will work out ways to look after their children that require less or no childcare. But we don't really know yet. And of course, and this is an important point, isn't it? There are lots of people for whom home working just isn't an option anyway. I'm also aware, of course, and Nicola alluded to this and to efforts to do something about it. I'm aware that out of school clubs on school premises face particular pressures arising from the decision taken about premises by head teachers and by education authorities during the pandemic. In terms of the workforce, CIW information team estimate, and again I stress this is an estimate based on incomplete information from the SAS, that over 17,000 people are employed in the childcare and play services that are registered with us, with over a third reporting at least one staff leaving in the 12 months to the end of March 2021. So as I said earlier, childcare is a significant employer in Wales. The estimate, and it is a very rough estimate, is that there were around 2,100 people working in out-of-school clubs as at 31st of March last year. This slide looks more complicated than it actually is. It shows the impact of the pandemic on the services and workforce that I've been describing. The red represents temporary closures. The blue, those services remaining open, and it covers the period from January 2020 to September 2021. And as you can see, at the peak of the pandemic, those services that were closed equal those services were open, which is a very clumsy way of saying just about half the services registered with us at the peak were temporarily closed. So our data shows that 84% of the out-of-school care services registered with us reported a temporary closure at some point during the pandemic. Apart from open access play, your services, along with sessional daycare services, were those most affected by the pandemic. During this time, CIW made thousands of check-in calls to providers, doing our best to signpost people to sources of advice and support, and checking on arrangements in those services that remained open. To begin, those calls were very much simply check-in calls with providers. As time went on, they changed to more detailed monitoring calls in which we gathered information to help us come to a view about the quality and safety of services. And where we received significant concerns about safety and well-being, we continued to visit services to inspect. In total, during the first and second stages of the pandemic, we made over 4,000 calls and carried out 93 inspections. At times, I know providers were frustrated with CIW for not being able to quickly respond to questions, particularly about finance or public health guidance. But I think we quickly got better at working in partnership with colleagues in Welsh Government, in Nicola's team, for example, to signpost people to the best sources of advice and support. It is, of course, heartening that the chart I showed previously shows a sea of blue at the end. But of course, Some of those services will not have reopened at the same capacity and previously, and all, in one way or another, will have been affected by the pandemic. So this is the point where this presentation could dwell on the negative impact of the pandemic, and goodness knows it was a negative and sometimes personally tragic experience for many people and for the services that you provide. So what I'm about to say in no way seeks to minimise that impact and the personal and professional cost it exacted. But I do want to say a little something about some of the positive things that our engagement with providers like yourselves, whether through check-in calls, monitoring calls, or inspections, has shown. Firstly, those services that did stay open were innovative and creative in how they managed things, from making the use of bubbles in nurseries fun for children wearing different coloured bibs, to quickly adapting and brilliantly adapting the approach to infection control. Many of you provided a vital services for those working at the front line, tackling the pandemic, enabling people to go to work confident in the knowledge that their children were safe and well cared for. And although I spoke earlier about the fact that 80+% of services temporarily closed at some point during the pandemic, that doesn't mean those services were closed for the whole of that period, of course. Some closed briefly and then reopened. So all of you were making a contribution. And some of those services that did close temporarily kept in touch with their children and enabled children to still see their friends through virtual or online activities such as story time and song time. We also saw great partnership working, whether through Cwlwm in general or Clybiau Plant Cymru in particular, reaching out to their sectors, or through local authority childcare leads working really hard to provide advice and support about the myriad and constantly changing options for finance and guidance. And crucially, of course, providers, yourselves, helping each other with information, advice, and ideas about best practice. For our part in CIW, it was instructive to have conversations with providers that were not focused directly on the findings from an inspection. We are the regulator, of course, and the bottom line is that the public expects us to take action when services are failing their children. But the majority of services do a fine job, and it was good to have grown-up conversations with you about that. And you kept going in the interest of children, and you keep going in the interest of children, and your persistence and resilience was and is amazing. So my final thoughts are about the need to build on those positives so that recovery is actually about creating something better than before. A renewal in which all partners, including CIW, are focused on what needs to be done to improve what we offer to children. We've recently resumed our joint inspections with Estin, and we will be resuming publishing ratings for our single agency inspections next month, which of course is Friday, isn't it? In the coming years, I'd like to think that we can all work together to help the majority of services become good and aim for excellent. And we won't achieve that unless we all pull together. So, like Nicola did at the beginning of her presentation, I want to end my presentation by thanking you very much for all you've done for children and their families during a really, really difficult couple of years, and for all that you continue to do and will do in the future for those children. And just to stress, I want us to work as far as we can in partnership with you and in partnership with other colleagues so that we achieve the very best for children and families in Wales. Diolch yn fawr, thank you very much. I shall now try and exit this presentation.
That's okay, Kevin. Sophie's taking it off, so you're absolutely fine. You can come back to the platform and be with me on screen. So I think we've got a couple of questions. Really interesting, the points that you were making there about the decline in out of school club numbers only being 1%. We know obviously that out of school care is offered in full day care as well. And as an organisation, we've seen many clubs decline. Some full day care settings are offering, attending to offer more for the early years. So we've seen quite a steep decrease in our numbers over the last 2 years, and we've seen, you know, we track the weekly figures. We can see that some still haven't reopened, and I think it's probably around about last week I think it was about 16% of out of school clubs haven't reopened. So we've still got our work to do, but you know, it's great to be working in partnership with you. So I'm just going to quickly go over. There's a question come in via email. Are CIW's inspectors having training on new curriculum for non-maintained sector? And do CIW inspectors have regular updated training as inspectors continue to have differing opinions?
Thank you. Good questions. So on the first bit there about the new curriculum, the answer is yes. So some inspectors, not all, have recently joined some train the trainers sessions on the new curriculum, but all inspectors will be having the opportunity for training on the new curriculum certainly later this year. So that is in hand, and it's very important. And I was talking recently to colleagues at Estin about that as well. The second part of the question, yes, inspectors do have regular updated training. Yes, I recognise that there's a perception and at times a real issue around consistency of response to what look like similar issues. And oftentimes that's explained by the fact that no one service is exactly the same as another. Your services are all different, and there's always nuance that applies depending on the context for the issue that we're looking at. That's part of the explanation. Sometimes though, it may absolutely genuinely be that inspectors have approached the same issue differently, and if that's the case, please, I need to know the detail. If I get the detail from Jane, we will always track through those particular issues and come back with an explanation and a response. Thank you.
And I think, Kevin, you know, our communications as Cullen partners with CIW has always been good. I think over the past probably 4 or 5 years has improved significantly, and we've got the log. So our staff on the ground that are picking up any issues, we're able to come to you directly and get an answer for our settings, which we really appreciate. So I don't know if anybody's got any more questions for Kevin before we move on to the second lot of awards this evening. Nothing's coming up in the chat, so I'm going to shift to the next award, Kevin, which I think you've got the details on, is the Champions of Inclusion.
Thank you, Jane. Yes, so the next award is to recognise an out-of-school childcare club that works hard to provide inclusive, quality provision and to support accessibility for all children, staff and families. And a quote from a parent using the winning club: "My children have never felt so much part of a massive family. This club were not only accommodating to my child's needs, but also made him so happy and confident. They were a massive support in including him and making him so confident. He has overcome a lot of the sensory issues and his behaviour has changed for the better. Everyone is equal and welcome." That's a lovely last sentence there to finish on. And my own background, actually, before moving into childcare and play, was working with people with learning disabilities, including children with learning disabilities. So this particular issue is dear to my heart. So I believe I now say, and the winner is...
Just catch up with my clicks.
It is Big Ben's Adventure Club in Denbighshire. So congratulations, Big Ben's Adventure Club. Diane, well done.
Excellent. Thank you, Kevin. Right, and on to the next one. Sorry, I'm clicking all over the place. That's what happens when you put me in charge of clicking on a PowerPoint. So the next award, Kevin, is the Play Champion.
Yep, diolch. So play is so important for children, and this is something that has become all the more apparent during COVID-19 and resulting restrictions. This next award is to recognise a club that has championed children's right to play and striven to provide high quality play opportunities for the children in their care. There were lots of strong contenders for this award based on nominations received, but the winning club was described as a club that embodies the Playwork principles, is committed to staff development and Playwork training, and passionate about providing quality play opportunities for children in their care. And the winner is Dylan's Den from Rhondda Cynon Taf. Congratulations, Dylan's Den. Diane.
Thank you, Kevin, and thank you for your words this evening. Really appreciate it.
Diolch yn fawr. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'd now like to, oh, hang on, need to click first. Sorry. I might get used to this one day. Ah, dear. There we go. I would now like to introduce Dawn Bunn, our National Training Manager, who leads a great team who've supported Playworkers learning throughout the pandemic. They've kept them learning, and the quality of what they do has just been rewarded with an exemplar rating received at a recent EQA visit by NCFE Cash, our awarding body for Playwork. So just going to hand over now, and Dawn's going to present a celebration of our Playwork graduates, class of 2021.
Diolch, Jane. So in 2021, the world continued to be rocked with the most uncertain and troubling time of our generation. For anyone to embark on training during this time and not only engage, but develop, involve and achieve is nothing short of remarkable. The dedication, tenacity and hard work of these 117 learners that we're going to celebrate today is commendable, and it's my great pleasure to introduce the class of 2022. We thank them all for their hard work, and we wish them all the best for their Playwork careers.
Thoroughly enjoyed the course and learnt so much to improve the day-to-day running of my after-school club. The training was adapted quickly online to support me. Fantastic course and tutors. The trainers were well informed and made the whole experience fun and informative. I really enjoyed the course, found it interesting, and it's been great to watch the children play altar, already putting in place some of the ideas. This has been amazing. I would have never done this with another training organisation. I can't thank Hayley enough for all the support. Thank you so much for being there for me every step of the way. I certainly couldn't have got through it without you. I'm glad it's all finished, but thanks to you, I now have the confidence to think about starting another course. Everything was amazing, and I feel like a more confident play worker.
They all did amazingly well, and as we said, during COVID, it was just exceptional that they all completed. So thank you, Jane.
Thanks, Dawn, and congratulations on your EQA and for delivering so many qualifications throughout the year. And thanks got to go to Sophie for the video and the names of the roll call of all those learners. Video spoilt terribly by the voiceover by me, just trying to save some time. Anyhow, thanks ever so much, Dawn. Okay, so I'm going to move on now to, and I'd like to introduce Andrew Bell, who's Programme Manager for We Care Wales. Welcome, Andrew.
Thank you very much, and good evening, everybody. And thank you very much for allowing me to join this evening's session. So I'm just going to, hopefully the slides will come up in a moment. Oh, lovely. I'm just going to share with you and talk a little bit about the work of We Care Wales, what we're about, what we're aiming and hoping to achieve, and how you can get involved in some of the resources that we develop, which we hope you will find of use. So just moving first into what it is. Essentially, we've been running for around 3 years now, and the purpose of We Care Wales is really trying to raise the public awareness and perception of the care sectors. So it cuts right across social care, early years, childcare and play, really trying to help people better understand what our sectors are all about, really showcase the people and yourselves included within that, who are part of the sector, who make what it is, and highlight the opportunities and the careers and all of those elements, and really put a positive spotlight on the sector to help address some of the challenges that it's faced in regards to people's awareness and understanding, and then hope in turn draw more people in to help support the range of settings across care. So the kind of things that we try and include to help people really get a sense is regards to the scale of the workforce. So it's how large we are. I mean, actually, if we think of all of our sectors joined together as one, we would be easily the largest for Wales. So it's a considerable amount of opportunities that people have around in regards to the workforce, and the variety of roles, career opportunities that people can have as well, that we find by showcasing through the videos and the stories. And you may have possibly seen TV adverts running at the moment that highlight different aspects of this. It's really trying to show people that variety of all the different opportunities. And actually helping people see that the key element, actually, in working in care is who you are, as who you are as a person. It's kind of I suppose what we think is kind of your values-based caring, and helping people see that even though they may not be within our sectors at the moment, they may very well have transferable skills. They may very well have all those attributes that are perfect for working within our settings. So it's about how we can kind of connect with those as well. As I mentioned, it's about challenging myths, perceptions, helping people see the sectors for as they need to be seen. But of course, keeping it real. As I'm sure we could all attribute, there are times when it can be quite challenging, demanding, I suppose might be a word to use. But it is a very rewarding career, and it's about actually the difference that you all make and thousands of others make to many people, many children, lives every day. And it's that difference is absolutely fundamental and key to a career in care. So we have the website, which you may have seen or may not have seen. It's there, and it holds all the information in regards to all of the different aspects that we try and our best to sort of put the spotlight on and promote. Within that, we include information about sort of different settings, as well as information around specific roles as well, to try and help people understand. Because we know we've done several sort of public surveys, and interestingly, generally people don't really understand what we mean by the different roles. So it's really important that we help kind of support explaining those in nice, simple ways, and obviously showcasing in many cases the roles with people's own stories as well. We use we use social media to try and connect with as many people as possible. And when we're thinking about reaching out to younger audiences, we've introduced using Snapchat and TikTok and other tools like that, trying to kind of reach out to as many people as we can with the different kind of imagery and the different stories and the different connections that we're trying to make. And certainly so far, what we're seeing is some great levels of engagement of people connecting and sharing the stories and responding positively to the work that we're promoting. But of course, not everybody uses social media. And so we also include where as much as possible, and obviously within all budgets, try and kind of reach people as they're out and about. So it's things like billboards, outside supermarkets, back of buses, trains. We've added our sort of the brand in many different places to try and really catch people's eyes. Even the strange shaped one on the right hand side is a petrol pump, to try and help kind of people sort of see it and hopefully connect with it as well. But of course, a great way of reaching a lot of people is certainly things like TV. And we've used a range of adverts, and we have some running at the moment that you might have seen at that broadcast across sort of ITV, S4C, Sky, Channel 4, and all of those sort of on-demand routes as well. And again, it's really just trying to keep getting the message out there, really trying to reach as many people, because we know that actually, there isn't one solution, one route to try and reach the public of Wales. We've really got to try and think about all the different options, whether it's printed press, TV, as we've got here on the screen, through digital routes, or even as people are out and about, how we might help them connect and see the messages that we're trying to promote and share. And a key part of our work really is the videos, where we've had a whole range of video content, whether it's been the perspective of the care worker themselves, whether it's we've had parent perspective, we have employer perspective, day in the life, a whole variety, showcasing the real stories. And that's the heart, I think, of We Care. I think that's the absolute part that really brings it to life and really showcases, real value and the importance that working in care brings. And I'm going to try, hopefully technology will permit me, from my side certainly, to play, but I'm just going to play a very short video clip, just one of the case stories, just to show it to you now. So I'm hoping, fingers crossed, this plays okay for you.
I'm thinking too much into it now and I'm starting to stutter. Oh no, I can't say it. My name is Taylor Baker and I work in Childcare in Pentrabane, and I've been here for 6 months. Come on then, Oliver. Do you want to help me? So we can build the best sandcastle. So what inspired me to get into childcare was having 2 young children myself, and I thought, if I'm going to be mum all the time, why not use that as my career, is what I know best. And I thought, why not just go for it? And I absolutely love it. Best thing I ever done. So on a day-to-day basis, my job can include anything from playing outside, in the rain, any weather, setting up activities, use your imagination with the children, and just listening to their imagination and just seeing what they come up with. Children are funny, they're happy, so coming into that sort of environment, it's lovely. See if you can find any tomatoes, okay?
We look for staff who are enthusiastic, creative, willing to take on board new ideas, to allowing the children to explore through play and providing a safe place to do so.
We incorporate play into the children's learning. We provide a secure base for them. We try and get them to think about what they're going to do. So building assault courses, it could be from playing in the messy play kitchen, and they've got to use their imagination to build whatever they want. When parents trust you with their children and they thank you at the end of the session, or they come back and thank you, that's really rewarding and you feel like you're doing a good job.
Hopefully that worked okay through the broadcast. It's one of many lovely stories, and the lovely, short and sharp, but really kind of bring the spirit of each of the individuals and their story, but highlighting the different roles and the different settings, which is really, really important. So I just wanted to share just one example with you today. Just some of the other elements just to pick up. We do run a range of sort of activities to try and help. So we ran a competition late last year called We Care Children, where we had people kind of voted and were shortlisted. And in this case, it was a lady who was a childminder who was the winner. And it's just another way of just trying to help put a really positive spotlight on the sector, really highlight the great people out there that carry out the roles, every day. To help with recruitment, we launched, when we went into actually the first lockdown, we launched a jobs site or a jobs portal. That's now evolved and grown significantly to be more adaptive and a bit more proactive with what we need really from a job site. I'm sharing it this evening just to make you aware. I think it's just something that we're trying to actively promote to help all settings in highlighting any vacancies they might have, to help them kind of look to recruit and find the people for those roles. And I'll just show a very simple kind of screenshot. I don't want to go onto the website in case I break my internet here, but hopefully it just illustrates a screen grab of how it kind of can look. It's essentially a big list, obviously, of the different jobs people can filter and look for something that's specific to them. Usually around 700 or so jobs live at any point on it, so a good number in there. But the opportunities there to build it, to have more in. And as I'll show in a moment, there's a place where any vacancies that you might have, you're more than happy for you to put them in. It's a free service to use. It's just something hopefully to help kind of address some of that recruitment challenges. That is an ongoing challenge across all aspects of care. What this simply picks up is just a sample of screen elements, really, as people can basically filter or choose by their locations, the local authority area. They can really narrow it down, right down to different roles, if that's what they're looking for, to help them really find, the role for them. And when they see the role, they can then connect with the employer, whoever it may be. They can upload a CV, and they can essentially send in sort of a cover note to the employer as well. So help and essentially allow them to sort of reach out and make that connection. Another resource that we've got within the jobs portal is a kind of a learning resource. And it's essentially a tool that we put in to really help people to help begin to experience kind of what it's like to work in care. Now, obviously, it's never the same as actually doing the job, of course. But what we know is, if we can get the people who get a better sense about what it's like to work in care, then they're hopefully more likely to stay, because it's more aligned to what they're expecting and what they connect with. And that's what this tool will do. Essentially, it's a short video clips with questions at the end that ask people, what would you do next in a particular situation? And it's a great way of helping people understand or begin to understand the different roles in care and what it's like, and actually what their decisions would be in particular scenarios as well. And finally, really, just to showcase from like an employer perspective, there's a dashboard that when registered you get access to, which allows to post vacancies, to manage the vacancies as a news, resources to download, and there's a whole range of things. And actually, one of the things really to share today is obviously everything we produce is available to be reused in whatever form you feel would fit for your needs. But also, we're always actively looking for more people to showcase, more stories to share and tell. And anyone who is here today, by all means, if you feel you have yourself or a member you work with who could share their story, it would be great to share their story, then please get in touch. And of course, some of the main links you can see on here in regards to our website and our social media accounts. So thank you so much. I hope it's been useful, just to give you a little bit of a highlight around the work of We Care Wales, and happy to pick up any questions that might come through. Thank you.
Thanks, Andrew. Really appreciate the tour of We Care Wales and all that it can do to support employment, recruitment, and learning. And I know that Social Care Wales's remit is early years and not out of school childcare. We're working on that, but really appreciate you coming along tonight. And even though Social Care Wales's remit is early years, I understand that this platform for recruitment is open to the out of school childcare sector as well. So let's hope some of our members who are telling us how difficult it is in the recruitment field at the moment take you up on the offer. Now, I can't see any questions in the chat, and we didn't receive any via email. So it doesn't look like any participants have got any burning questions for you to put you under the spotlight. So we'll move straight on to the two awards that you're going to present this evening. So the first one is Learner of the Year. Andrew, over to you.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. Thank you. Yes, so this award is an award to celebrate a learner who has worked hard to achieve or make progress towards a qualification with Clybiau Plant Cymru Kids Clubs. This may have involved supporting peers, participating well in sessions, making the most of learning experience, or overcoming challenges with passion and determination. The winner is a learner who worked incredibly hard to achieve their level 2 in playwork. Balancing personal commitments and overcoming several obstacles, they used their own experience of using open access provision as a child to build on their own playwork practice. The person who nominated this individual described them as being incredibly proud of this person and their achievement, and feels that efforts should be recognised more widely. And my pleasure to say that, and the winner is Lucy Watson from Plasneth 2 in Cardiff. And congratulations to Lucy. Well done.
Congratulations, Lucy. I'm not sure if she's on YouTube watching. We hope so. Just give us a quick comment in the chat if you could. And great work there on your learning. Just before we go to the next award, Andrew, just to say that one of the participants on YouTube has already registered to We Care Wales. So there you go. You've done your job tonight. You've got another member. Okay, and so the next award is Commitment to Continuing Professional Development.
Brilliant, thank you. Well, continued professional development is an incredibly important to support quality experiences for children and career progression opportunities to add to job satisfaction. This is an award to recognise an out-of-school childcare club that is committed to encouraging and supporting its staff to attend training and workshops to enhance their professional development to support a quality childcare provision to be offered to the local community. The winning setting has commissioned a variety of speakers throughout the year to inspire and develop their staff. The owner is very proactive and takes part in activities and training to not only support their own setting and staff, but also to help develop the sector as a whole. The setting is always looking for opportunities to invest in their team, increasing staff confidence in pursuing changes or continuing strong child-centered practice. And it's my pleasure to announce that the winner for this award is lovely. It's Little Lambs in Conway. So congratulations to Little Lambs. Well done.
Excellent. Thank you ever so much, Andrew. We've got a message in the comments that Lucy couldn't attend, but Ree is going to call her, so well deserved. And of course, we'll be forwarding on all of the trophies for the recipients after the event. Thank you, Andrew, for your time this evening. Really appreciate it. And hopefully we'll get a few more signed up to the We Care Wales portal and get their jobs advertised with you. Okay, so I'd now like to introduce Nicole Levitt. I lost my page. Sorry, I don't need to read this. I don't know why I am. Nicole Levitt, who is the Regional Manager for North Wales and in charge of our Work Welsh programme, to present the award for Welsh Language Champion. Sorry, Nick, I just... There we go.
Diolch, Jane. Dwi'n dysgu Cymraeg fy hun, ond dwi ddim yn hyddres, felly dwi'n mynd I siarad Saesneg. So as a Welsh learner myself, I do have lack of confidence, so I will be continuing this in English. The Welsh Government's ambition is to see the number of people able to enjoy speaking and using the Welsh language reach 1 million by 2050. And this is certainly a challenging ambition, but one which out-of-school clubs play an important part. Embedding the Welsh language, even on a basic understanding or incidental level within play, gives children the ability to catch the language in a fun way, but also actively assisting in the preservation of the Welsh language for future generations. Increasing the use of Welsh in an out-of-school club is a journey. This year, 35 Playworkers have begun their journey by enrolling on a Mynediad 1 course developed by the National Centre for Learning Welsh. 13 learners completed the course and 5 decided to continue their journey by enrolling onto the Mynediad 2 course, one of whom has also completed that. At Clybiau Plant Cymru Kids Clubs, we are obviously very passionate about the Welsh language and supporting the Cymraeg 2050 goal. This next award is for an out-of-school childcare club that has championed the Welsh language and striven to improve the level of Welsh language incorporated into their setting and to support their own learning or the learning of others. A number of staff members from this setting have striven to improve the level of Welsh language incorporated into sessions by taking part and completing the Camau Learn Welsh Entry 1 and 2 course. These staff members have committed to improving their Welsh language skills, as well as ensuring the training influences practice within their setting. Da iawn. And the winner is... Camp Coconuts in the Vale of Glamorgan. Well done and congratulations to Camp Coconuts.
Llongyfarchiadau Camp Coconuts. And thank you, Nick, for presenting that award this evening. I'd now like to introduce Alex Fudge and Naomi Evans, both regional managers, one in West Wales and one in South East Wales. Alex heads up the governance within the organisation and supports out-of-school childcare clubs with their governance. And Naomi's strategic goal is around sustainability, both internal and to support the clubs as well. So Naomi and Alex are going to present 2 awards, and I'll hand over to them both.
Diolch, thank you, Jane. As we've previously said, the past 2 years have been a tough few for clubs, communities and for children. But there have been excellent examples of people going above and beyond to support others around them. The final 2 awards of the evening are for a manager, owner, committee or play leader who has striven to support the mental health and well-being of their staff to create a healthy, positive work environment. And our Volunteer of the Year award to celebrate a volunteer who has worked hard and invested their own time to support their local out-of-school childcare club and community.
In relation to these 2 awards, we also wanted to take the opportunity to give a big thanks to Jane O'Toole for continuously striving to support the well-being of our own staff at Clybiau Plant Cymru Kids Clubs throughout the pandemic. We also want to recognise this evening the volunteers that we have dedicating their time and expertise as part of our Board of Trustees, helping to drive forward our work as an organisation. So thank you all. So on to the awards. We had again a lot of nominations referencing the excellent work being done across Wales by groups and individuals within the out-of-school childcare sector. For both of these final awards, the winning nominees are strong examples of the impact that those who volunteer their time to support their local community bring. So first, the award for supporting staff wellbeing. One of the people who nominated this winner said the current voluntary committee joined towards the end of 2018 at a particularly difficult period in the club's history and have worked hard to keep staff informed, to collaborate effectively and to ensure that everyone feels valued and supported. This has led to a very positive working environment, including throughout lockdown, where measures were put in place for keeping in touch with staff, for example, through Zoom, and ensuring that staff had morale boosts. And the winner is... A big congratulations to the Voluntary Management Committee at Plasnewydd 2 in Cardiff. Well done.
Okay, so last award of the evening, but by no means least, our Volunteer of the Year award. And if we move on to the quotes within the nomination, this person has dedicated 12 years as a committee member and registered individual. Despite having a busy life as a hard-working nurse, she's overseen many successful years of the business and ensured that the club has kept up their good reputation. This person is due to retire from the position this year and thoroughly deserves the recognition of what a fantastic and valuable volunteer she has been. And the winner for Volunteer of the Year award is Sandra Jones. Massive congratulations. Well done.
Thank you both for those awards and for your kind words, Naomi, and congratulations everyone on their awards this evening. I've written some words here now, and I'm not going to read them. I'm just going to say them. Without our Board of Trustees, we wouldn't be the organisation that we are. We're always on the lookout for new trustees, and diverse inclusion on our board really matters to us. So becoming part of our board, you'd be joining an active board, and expertise will significantly help the organisation reach their goals. The benefits of being a trustee, you'll play a pivotal role in shaping the strategic direction. If any of you that are on YouTube tonight would be interested in joining our Board of Trustees, if you'd like to email info@Clybiau Plant Cymru Kids Clubs, or give me a call, drop me an email, can have an informal chat. I don't think that we want a CV and a brief covering letter, but if you want to find out more, I'm always available if you'd like to get in touch. Okay, so I'm going to draw things to a close now, and I'd really like to thank Nicola, Kevin and Andrew this evening for their presentations and for their updates for the sector. I'd personally like to thank all of my staff, without whom all of our support for you, the out-of-school childcare sector, would not be possible. But mostly, I'd like to thank the sector for all the work that you, the individuals within it, do to support children, their families and their communities in Wales to prosper. As you can see on the screen, there's a QR code, which if you hold your phone up, if you're not on your phone, that is, you can scan, and you'll be able to take part in a small evaluation. I know there's been a couple of hiccups in the PowerPoint, but apologies for that. But if you'd be so kind as to support us by completing the evaluation found behind that QR code, and at the end of the survey, the evaluation, you'll find a link which will reward you with a virtual goodie bag for your attendance this evening. So let's hope, while I just give you a couple of bits of updates of what's coming this way, you're able to do that evaluation for us. So in April, we will be posting out to all out-of-school childcare clubs some free seeds. So you'll be getting sunflower seeds and basil seeds. We hope that this will help you to involve all children across Wales in out-of-school childcare to join in our Grow Your Own Feast project, growing their own food and making meals with them. Although sunflower seeds, you might need to let the seeds dry out and then eat them. I'm not going to suggest you eat the actual sunflowers. So look out for the packets and ideas on what you can do with them on our social media in the coming weeks. We'll also be revisiting some of the videos from the project, such as wild garlic that we made last spring in the midst of a lockdown. The Grow Your Own Feast resource pack with 46 activity cards on growing, foraging, cooking and celebrating food is part of your virtual gift bag. So hopefully I've given you sufficient time to scan that QR code, and then you'll find that that goodie bag at the end of the Google survey. I'd like to thank everyone for attending this evening. From what I understand, there's been quite a good attendance. Some of the feedback that I've been getting on my phone while we've been online says that we're way above average on attendance. Apparently 83% of those that booked have attended, and apparently the average is 20. So we've already won on that one. I really hope that you've enjoyed this evening, and here's to look forward to another good year of growth and revival, survival. And thanks to my team who've just joined me on screen for everything this evening. And thanks, Kevin, and sorry, Andrew. Kevin and Nicola have I think had to leave during the presentation. So thanks everyone, and good night.
Thank you, everyone.